Hauntcast. Haunting Halloween and horror.
You right.
Interviews with haunting gurus. He's the animation tech for The Darkness, Lemp Brewery, and Creepy World in St. Louis, the owner of Rotten Res Designs, and the host of the YouTube channel Stelos Curse Haunted House. It's Nick Palmer. What's up, Nick?
Hey, what's going on?
We're going to move through this quick, man. We're going to fire through. We're going to come at you rapid fire. So at age 6, you started home haunting. Is that correct?
Yep.
Man, you got in there young. You're youngin'. And
it was like in the pinnacle time of when YouTube was becoming like a big thing. And my parents had taken me to Fright Fest at Six Flags. It was at Frontier City in Oklahoma City. And it scared the shit out of me, but I really liked it. And then, like I said, YouTube was becoming a prevalent thing. So I was looking at YouTube videos online and seeing all these videos. And that's what really kind of started getting me into it. And obviously seeing people's yard haunts and stuff during Halloween was also a big thing. But I would watch these videos and I would be like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. And I was, it was in the summer. It wasn't even Halloween. I was at my grandma's house in Oklahoma, and I was like, I'm going to build a haunted house in your house. And it was obviously like the cheesiest thing you've ever seen. But yeah, I was 6 years old.
Well, you all start there, and at 6, I wouldn't imagine how good it could be, you know, when you're just trying to, you know, putting Legos together or something to create a...
There's pictures of it somewhere. Like my grandma has it on her old computer. Yeah. And me and my wife, Selena, are always talking about digging it up and finding it because it would just be hilarious.
Yeah, you should. Now, so you did that you did a home haunt until you were about 20, roughly?
Yep, that's correct.
What was your home haunt like? I mean, in the later years when it was, I would assume, better. What was it like? Were you doing a walkthrough? Was it just a front yard display or what?
It was always a walkthrough. So whenever I was living in Oklahoma, my dad got a job in Columbia, Missouri, being a professor at Mizzou. So we moved there whenever I was in my younger age. I was like 7 or 8. And we had a 2-car garage, which was never a thing we had in our old houses. And I was like, you know, I really liked doing that haunt thing. I was still obsessed with it. And I started doing it the first year. Obviously, it sucked. It was like a tarp down the middle of the garage my dad put up with some Party City props. But in the later years, whenever I turned 16, this was back when, you know, the age was 16 to get into Trans World, and we lived pretty close to St. Louis. So we went to that. And that was also the same year we started doing the YouTube channel, 2016, because you can go back as far as 2016 and see us updating the haunted house. So you can see the home haunt. And it just got super elaborate. Our whole garage is filled up, or my parents' garage was completely filled up. It went into their basement, up their front door, out the side of the house, the whole backyard, the whole side yard, and then the front yard had a cemetery. And that was like 2017, the year I was a senior. That was when it was maxed out. Like that was all the space I could possibly use. Front yard, side yards, backyard, garage, basement. And it was just like, you know, this is as big as it can get. There were 300 people, you know, standing in front of my parents' house. And it was just like, yeah, we probably need to chill this out because they're probably going to make us start shutting down the streets soon and stuff like that. So, and at that time I was already planning on going to welding school. So it was just kind of a thing where that was like our finale year, but I still did a home haunt after that, but it was just smaller. It was just the garage.
So were you building everything? Were you buying most of your stuff? Like what were you?
We were building like all the walls. Like we would fabricate all the wall panels. We would build some of our props and stuff like corpse skeletons, stuff like that. We didn't really have a lot of animations whenever we were doing the home haunt. Like I wasn't into pneumatics. We were more actor based.
You had a bunch of friends. You had friends that helped out.
We had a bunch of friends.
From that, you ended up starting a pro haunt.
Yep, in Oklahoma. I got sick in 2019, and I had to stop working for about 2 months. I had contracted a blood illness while working at it's a transformer plant. That's where I was welding at. and it got me really sick. And then I was sick for like 2 months. My nerves in my legs died. I was all kinds of f***ed up. And it's funny because I was like at my parents' house, they were taking care of me. I couldn't even like walk. I was like in a wheelchair and everything. And I was like, it'd probably be good to like do a little bit of haunting. And so I built all these tombstones. I was just going to do like a yard haunt. There's videos of it. And you can't even really tell in the videos that I'm like in a wheelchair. But if you go back, you can watch it. But so I built these tombstones, and then one night it was dark, and I just jumped out of the wheelchair like Lieutenant Dan, crawled through the yard, smashed the stakes in the ground. I was like crawling, trying to put these tombstones in the ground.
So what was the transition? Like what said, like, I'm doing a pro haunt. Like how did that transition
So after that, we did that yard haunt, and Rotten Res insinuates the name. I have a Native American side of my family. Selena's Native American. I met her in Oklahoma when we started doing the haunt, but we have land in Oklahoma, and I was like, it's not a super populated area, but it'd be cool to just try something out there because we don't really use the land for anything. So we went out there, started doing the haunted house. I met her there, and then it was a lot more popular than I thought it was going to be. So we're like, okay, we're going to keep doing this.
So you were doing better than you expected.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, and you ran that haunt for about 2 years.
Yep. So the first year, we did it like on a shoestring budget. We just threw a bunch of panels up, just outside in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we were in Southwest Oklahoma. It's like an hour away from either like major metro area. So like you got Lawton south of us, then you had Oklahoma City, which was like northeast of us, and nobody out there. Like it's all just farmland, stuff like that. But there's no haunted houses there. So you got all these small farming towns and everything. And everybody just kind of flocked to us. And the first year we did it, we had like no budget, no advertising. We were like running around all these little towns, putting up flyers and stuff. I mean, it was really just me because my parents, live in Columbia. So I was out there in the middle of nowhere. I was just like, well, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's not like I spent, hundreds of thousands on paying a lease or buying a property. And then the first season we did like over 1,000 people, and I was like, yeah, this is a good move. And we were only open for like 2 weeks.
So just 2 weeks, like not 2 weeks. You mean 2 weekends, pretty much.
Yeah, it was probably like 6 days altogether.
So what happened? You said something happened with the lease deal or something that caused you to shut down?
My grandparents, we are like the next in line to have the land passed down to us. And, we had insurance for the haunted house, everything like that. But they were just kind of weary because they also didn't think it was going to get so popular. And they kind of got scared, and they didn't like the idea of there being hundreds of people out there possibly getting hurt and stuff like that. And I didn't want to stress them out, in their old age. So I didn't fight it. I was just like, okay, we'll figure something else out. But, eventually we were like, well, maybe we'll go back and do it. And then we ended up working for Larry. So now we got other ideas. We always are plotting on places to open a haunted house and stuff like that.
Now, how did that happen? How did you go from, I have this pro haunt, I'm closing it down, to next thing you know, you're working for Larry at the Darkness and, the Lemp and whatnot? Like, how did the connection happen and you get your foot in the door?
Okay, yeah. So we were back in Columbia, we were in the process of figuring out a lease deal for opening a haunted house in Columbia. And my friend Greg Allen, he owns Killer Props now. You've probably heard of it. He had been contacted by Larry to come and get Creepy World, all the animations set up, because they had just had a flood there and all the props were all messed up and everything needed to be reworked. And he was out there with a guy that wasn't really an animation guy. It was just a friend of his. He didn't know how to work on props, and he wasn't really a haunter. And Greg was trying to get out of there quicker, and the guy that he was with just wasn't picking it up fast enough. Like, nothing against him. He just wasn't a haunted house person. And so he texted me, knowing I was in Columbia. He was like, hey, can you come out here and help me with some of this stuff? And I was like, yeah, I'll come out there and take a look at some stuff. And then we ended up plowing through Creepy World, getting everything done, kind of tag teaming it. He would start on one end of one haunted house, I would start on the other end, and we would fix the animations, then meet up. And towards the end of that, I was like, okay, this was really cool being able to work here at Creepy World. And then I would talk to Larry, and he didn't really know me. And towards the end, he was like, why don't you just stay? And I was like, okay.
Was it a hard sell on his part?
It wasn't like, he didn't have to like give me any benefits or anything. I was just like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. So, but he basically brought you in, and for this position, he said, he hired you as the animation tech, and you were going to be responsible for the Darkness, the Lemp Brewery, and Creepy World, all three of them all in one shot.
I mean, essentially, there's a lot of people while the haunted houses are open. I can only, be at one haunted house while the season's open, but, installing animatronics and stuff like that, I'm usually the one that gets sent to do that, because he has a lot of people that work full-time for him, like carpenters, painters, and stuff like that. And there's a lot of these people that have knowledge of working on animatronics, but he has so much stuff for them to do that there's just not time for them, because they're working on all these mini golfs that need to be sent out and stuff like that.
I'm not familiar with the Lemp Brewery. What's the Lemp Brewery? Is that like a haunt? That's a haunt / brewery, or like or a haunted theme brewery?
Yeah, it's an old brewery here in San Luis. We actually live like 2 blocks away from it, because we just moved here in February, and it's right by the Darkness too. It's like 10 minutes from the Darkness, but it's an old brewery. It's this old, dilapidated, huge building. We don't have the whole building as a haunt. Obviously, it's split up into a business park now. But the Lemp family used to be this super famous brewing family, and then they all kind of went crazy. This is true. They all went crazy, and they all killed themselves with the same gun, and it was just madness. And so
that's a great backstory,
there was a haunted house there.
That's a great.
Yeah, you got to look into it. Yeah. You got to look into it. It's crazy. And the mansion's still there. They still have, like, you can Airbnb the mansion. They have a restaurant in there and everything. And it's right next to the brewery. But the haunted house is like down in the caverns of the brewery, because under the brewery they have all these caverns with these natural caves that they accidentally broke into, which made it cold down there. And I think that's how they ended up getting so wealthy, is because they didn't have to have refrigeration or anything like that. They cooled all the beer with the caves.
Yeah.
So there's a haunted house down in the caverns now.
Yeah. You're working full time, correct?
Yep.
Give me like an idea. What's like an average day for you, if there even is one?
Well, I mean, it's pretty sporadic, but usually I'll meet or talk to Larry like one day a week, and we'll kind of go over some of the stuff that he needs done or what he has got an idea for. Like these last couple weeks, I've been with Riley, his son, helping move stuff while we get ready for Creepy World. But now we just got a bunch of stuff in from Scare Factory for Creepy World, and it all is going to be installed. But essentially, I'll just get like a list from him, and it's just kind of like a bounty list. I'll get it and just try and finish it as quickly as I can. And it's usually 90% of the time dealing with animatronics. Sometimes he'll have me weld stuff and prefabricate something, but that also just goes hand in hand with animatronics.
Yeah, because you a lot of those animatronics from the heavy use they're going through every season, you probably have to do a lot of like spot welding, fixing some some welds and
I mean a lot of that stuff gets so destroyed because there's so many people that go through his haunted houses, and those things are pretty much from the second we open are going off perpetual all night. And I've literally seen animations where it'll be like 14 gauge box tubing, and it's not even the weld that's broken. It's like peeled like a banana. One side of it has been peeled off.
You are dealing with all of like the biggest, baddest toys out there. You got Unit 70, Scare Factory, Poison Props, all the eye candy that people go when they go to Transworld, looking around. Oh my God, I like these $20,000+ whatever these props that are ridiculous.
The craziest stuff. Yeah, the craziest stuff.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool thing. I was watching a lot of those videos, and I'm like, oh man, you got some badass stuff in here. I'd love to be able to play with some of this. This is really freaking cool.
I always have people message me and stuff, and they're like, dude, you have like the best job ever. I would like do this for free. And whenever I'm talking to people that ask me about stuff like that, and I talk to people at the haunted houses, and they're like, "Oh, I wish I could do what you're doing, like security people and stuff." And my first thing I always tell them is I was just like, "You guys are getting paid for this," just to like throw them off. It is a pretty great privilege to be able to work on animatronics because, you know, me being a haunted house person, I love all the haunted house animatronics, and learning how to work on all the different brands and how they build them and stuff like that is one of the reasons we started Rod and Res, because we were able to see how a lot of them were built and kind of seeing all the failure points on a lot of the stuff, and trying to build a product that's can last in a haunted house, taking the abuse that, you know, our haunted houses do, where they're, you know, 30 nights a year perpetually going off.
Give me an idea of some of the products that you're offering through Rotten Res.
So Rotten Res is owned by me and my wife. She does costuming and masks and stuff. She does a lot of sewing, and like I said, I'm an animation tech, so I started building animatronics. We have this year was our first year doing it, and we were at Transworld. We were like absolutely in the worst possible spot we could be in. We were like the last booth before the Christmas area, and it was because we got in so late in the game. We had decided to vend at that show in like late January, I think. And I talked to Rich, and he was like, all right. And what we did was we were like, well, maybe we'll get more exposure if we do a corner booth. But then that ended up actually pushing us back further. But yeah, we do animatronics. We do statics. Like I said, Selena does all the costuming. She does all the distressing on the costuming and all that kind of stuff.
What is your favorite prop controllers to work with? I noticed that you guys do, like a lot of people use a lot of the peekaboos. Are those you pretty much go to for, like, I know, like the Flex controllers, for instance? Or
yeah. I mean, if I had to pick one that I preferred over another one, it would be just the standard Flex controller, just because the outputs are solid state. You don't have to run jumper wires like on the peekaboos, and you can use the Director Connect to the Scaremaster, which I have both, and it just makes it go by a lot quicker.
Yeah, now I've never played with the Flex or the Scare controllers. Are they pretty easy to learn?
Yeah. I mean, if you get a Scaremaster and you just buy a Flex, hook up some solenoids, LED lights and stuff to it, and just play with it, you can pick it up pretty easily.
Yeah, so the Scaremaster is how you program it. So instead of the peekaboos, where they're individual, like self-contained push button programmers.
They're different from the keybanger controllers.
Yeah. So it's got its own LCD screen, and you just kind of can go through and pick, you know, channel 1, channel 2, and whatever.
Yeah, and you can put, you know, pre and post delays. You can upload the sound of the controller. You do that all through the Flex or the Scaremaster, or you can use the Director Connect software, which is free, and that'll hook straight into the Flex.
Since you're an animation guy, what triggers do you prefer to use? Or does it always just depend on what prop and how it's set up?
There's a lot of step pads in the darkness, but we've mainly been using just PIR motion sensors. In the escape rooms, like when we install animations in the escape rooms, they'll be hooked into the game, so they'll either go off from them completing a puzzle, a mag lock, or just opening a door.
Is there a certain brand of PIR that are better? Because I've always had such problems with PIRs in the past. Are there better places to get them, or better brand names to buy for, like?
I mean, the Fright Props ones we never have had issue with. The ones from Purgatory Props are good too. I've been actually using some of the Purgatory Props controllers, and they're actually pretty sweet. They have the Amon Quadro, and he gave me one at the show to try out. And they're like the Flexes. They're solid state, so you don't have to run jumper wires. And they're keybanger, so it's 4 outputs, MP3 audio, and they're solid state.
Yeah, I picked up one and I picked it up last season because it was one of these things I really wasn't aware of it. I was looking for a controller because I've had a bunch of peekaboos around for years, so I usually just swap them out or they've been in the same prop forever. And I was like, I want to try something else. And then somebody recommended Purgatory props, so I got the Eamon Duo, and it's sitting here on my desk. I have my hand right now. I have not used it. I'm like, I am definitely playing with this year. I want to try it out because I like, for the price, you get a little bit more functionality, and as you're saying, the solid state, so you don't have to use the jumpers, right? Is that pretty much how they, for most of these?
Yeah, I mean, they're just I've only ever used the one. Like we've gotten stuff from Hallucinations Creations, and they use their controllers, and I've never had problems with them. They seem to hold up to the stress and everything like that of being in a pro haunt. So I think you'll enjoy using them, especially if it's just for, doing a home haunt.
Now that you're bouncing from the different haunts, so you're basically, the darkness is all indoor, the Lemp is all indoor, but the other haunt is all outside. So it's Creepy World, an outdoor haunt.
Yeah, Creepy World is outdoors. It's all like 1,000 square foot buildings. So there's 13 haunted houses there, all different themed and stuff like that. But it's mainly outdoors.
The props there take a lot more punishment. Are they exposed more to the weather out there?
Yeah, they're exposed to the elements and the rain and stuff like that.
How do you refurbish? Like I noticed a bunch of props you were going through and you were making lists of like, oh yeah, we've got to take a picture. We got to fix the face on this one, the hand. How do you typically fix the like, especially like the faces and the skin that are on those animated props? Because obviously they're all, foam, molded, casted prop. How do you go through fixing those up, especially when they get kind of beaten up like from the weather like that?
Well, I mean, Selena actually does a lot of that kind of stuff, the cosmetic stuff. I'll do it if she's not around. But just going over with latex, we actually just made molds of hands for Rotten Res, and we're going to use a lot of those because people that go through the darkness, Lemp and Creepy World, they're always ripping the fingers off of props and tearing things up. But there's a lot of different paints and latex. So we've been using the Uracoat by Smooth On a lot lately, and it's really good at patching stuff up. What's
the mixture between actors and animated props? You guys, you have a lot of animated props, a lot of animatronics. Is there a special mixture that he likes to keep, like this percent versus actors, that type of thing?
I mean, not really. After COVID, it was actually a lot harder to try and find actors.
Yeah.
He doesn't really prefer one over the other. He really likes animations, obviously.
Yeah.
But you can't really replace the timing and stuff of a good actor. But there's really there's no formula to it. It's just however many actors we can get a night as possible. Like there's never a night where we're like, oh yeah, we're full on actors. We're always trying to get more people in there.
So it's still even several years outside of COVID, still having a harder time getting actors in?
Yep.
Oh. Yeah. So how hands-on is Larry with you? I mean, is he over your shoulder a lot, or does he just say, hey, here's a list, just go take care of it, and then I'll check back on and make sure that you have everything done? Or is he
pretty much that's how it goes. Is everybody that works for him is pretty independent. He'll basically be like, okay, I want this done. Next time we talk, we'll go over it, and I'll check everything. And once you've worked for him for a long time and you become reliable to him, he doesn't even really have to check. Like I'll send him some pictures and clips of whenever I install stuff, and he'll just be like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, well, that's one good thing about just being able to take a picture on your phone and just text him, hey, this is done. I'm on to the next.
Exactly.
On to the next thing. So. Do you does somebody else handle all the lighting? Or if it's associated with the prop, you're handling the lighting for that prop? Or are you doing the lighting? Do you have to do the lighting?
I'll do the lighting on like an individual prop. The new scene we just put in at the Darkness, the Satanic Church, the scenic guys had to leave, like they were past due on their time. So I did all the lighting, all the pin spots, floodlighting, everything like that, which I assume something similar will be like that depending on who does the scenic for the new mansion at Creepy World.
So they're putting a new mansion in?
Yep, it's a monster mansion. It's going to be like Dracula, vampires, like Universal horror icons.
For Rotten Res, I'll give you another plug for the business. What type of animations are you currently offering over there?
So we got 3 animations right now. We got our Speak No Evil Nun. She is a nun that rips her jaw off and screams at you. And then we got our Slam Up Scalped Body Table. It's a fully fabricated steel table. It was originally built to be an actor table, but we wanted to make it more safe, and it was just getting too close to the show, so we ended up turning it into an animation. But it's this gory, ripped up female body, and the table slams up violently and slams on the ground. It's a startle scare. And then we have our Jump and Scratch Witch, which she lunges 7 feet up into the air and scratches, and she has these long, gnarly claws.
Everything is made to order?
Yep. We just got back from Iowa City yesterday. We took an order to Clips Haunted House. And we got a tour of the haunt. That place is pretty badass. And then yesterday we had an order picked up for the Warehouse in Joplin. And that was for a nun, a witch, and one of our pumpkin guy, Statics. He's called the Pumpkin Patch Grounds Creeper, like groundskeeper, but creeper.
As I know you're kind of tight on time with me, what major projects or projects that you're working on or you have coming up that you're going to be working on for any of the 3 haunts that you're pretty excited about? So
this thing that I'm actually starting this week is kind of like the most kind of ambitious thing I've ever worked on. It's a VP Ghoul Band. It's in a trailer. It's on a controller with 40 outputs, fully lights. Every band member is a pneumatic, and he's had it forever. And he wants me to pretty much rebuild all the electronics for it. And we got all the solenoid manifolds, controller, and everything for it. So that's going to be started this week. And we got a new audio clip for it. But that's pretty much that's like the biggest project coming up. But then obviously all the Scare Factory stuff we just got in for the mansion, which also needs to go in. So like I said, it's pretty much like this all year. It's just, it's go on pretty much everything on the house, which is, what we like. So
all right, so if any of you guys are out in the St. Louis area and you want to hit up the Darkness, the Lemp Brewery, or Creepy World this season to check out Nick's handiwork, make sure you pop in there. And Nick, plug your website for your business.
So we have our website being built right now. We're working on it, but we have a Facebook page, Rotten Res Designs, where you can see all of our products. You can go watch our YouTube vlogs at Stilo's Curse Haunted House on YouTube. We update all kinds of stuff that we're working on animatronics.
Yeah, and there's tons of behind-the-scenes stuff of him working at all of the haunts on there, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's tons of stuff to watch if you just like seeing all of the behind-the-scenes work and seeing the animatronics being installed, worked on, stuff like that.
I hope you have a great season, and next time we talk, hopefully we'll have a little bit more time. Later, brother.
I'm going now. Heaven help you.
Please like and follow the podcast. Stalk us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Links in the description. And help us by sharing Hauntcast with all your haunted Halloween brethren. Until next time, stay scary.